Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of GOW, the Generation Wrestling Podcast. As always, is yours truly, the 29-year-old piece of gold, the franchise, aka the showstopper, better known as the GOW's resident tribal chief. And with me, as always, I got my tag team partner, my brother, my family. He is the flyest in the room, Mr. 123. Pin that ass down, K Breezy, aka EC's resident Isaac Hayes, King Two Code in the building. Bro, what's up?
Man, just in morning,
Yeah,
the Cleveland Cavaliers lost. As you can see, I'm wearing all black.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
to mourn that horrendous, heinous loss that we took.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as upsetting as that was, you
Yeah.
know, to see that. Uh, Still rock with my boys. You know, it's Cleveland. It's Cleveland against the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's always us against them. Uh,
Always.
Always gonna rock the, like I say, always gonna rock with them. Could be disappointed. We can always be disappointed. Fro, what it do, man? What up, Fro?
Enough.
But that was such disappointing. So I'm in all black tonight. Just in mourning of the loss, man. Just in mourning
Yeah.
of the loss. But other than that, man, I'm ready to talk to you and the people about one of the greatest rivalries in possibly in wrestling history, man. So
Yes.
let's do what we do, man.
Yes, sir. Speaking of, man, so tonight, we're doing something a little different. We're covering WWE Rivals episode number 1 from season 1. I know we're in season 2 right now, man, but we're going all the way back to season 1. We're talking about one of the most infamous rivalries in WWE history. We all know what happened, man. The Montreal screw job. We all know that Bret screwed Bret, according to Vince McMahon. We all heard about Bret Hart walking backstage, getting through the big boss man, the Undertaker himself, to go give my boy Vinnie Mac a good old straight chinny chin chin to the chinner. Bro, let's talk about it, man. We got a lot to dive into. But before we do that, man, okay. So you got Shawn Michaels, HBK, the
Mhm,
Heartbreak Kid, the sexy boy himself. You got Bret
mhm.
Hart, man, the complete polar opposite, man. No nonsense. Bret Hart is everything that Shawn Michaels isn't. Shawn Michaels is everything that a guy like Bret Hart despises. Bret Hart is a very straight cut, clean cut guy. When I think of a guy like a Bret Hart, I think of a guy that's very straight laced, like a Lance Storm. As far as just a way of lifestyle. Not really a party hard guy, a guy that he goes in, he does his business, he handles his business, and it's all business. And then you got a guy like Shawn Michaels, man, who came in and then he found a little bit of success with Marty Jannetty and the Rockers, and then he broke away from that. And once he became a breakout single superstar, became HBK, became that party guy, became larger than life. I believe in that Heartbreak Kid persona really started to take over. And the women
Mhm.
started calling. Still started going around his waist. I think it kind of got to my guy, and then the partying and the addictions and everything like that really started to take a hold of Shawn Michaels. And that bled over to a lot of real life feelings and heat from the locker room, including Bret Hart, who was a guy who came in and who was very no nonsense. And he got Shawn Michaels, Mr. Flamboyant, with the earrings and gyrating and doing all this other stuff. And Bret Hart kind of, he's a man's man. He's like, what the hell is this? Dude,
Mhm, mhm,
two
mhm.
different careers, two
Yeah,
different personalities, but you could
right.
make the argument for either one that they're the best to ever do it. Too cold,
Most
man.
definitely.
Ain't no secret.
Most
You and
definitely.
I, got a little bit of an age difference on us. I
Right.
seen the very latter part of Bret Hart's career. I seen the second half of Shawn Michaels' career. Uh, so, as somebody who's seen it from beginning to end, and then me coming in at the end of one and in the middle of another, I'm gonna start with
Mhm.
you and work our way to me. What are your thoughts, man, on Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart when you first began, really diving into your fandom of these two and what they meant to the business that we know is professional wrestling?
For me, um, it started with them as tag teams,
Yeah,
and at that time, the tag team division for WWE was like it's like what AEW kind of became with the tag team division of
right.
today. You had a plethora of just awesome teams, man. You had teams like the Rockers, you had the Hart Foundation, you had the Demolition, you had Money Inc., you had the Road Warriors, you had who am the Steiner brothers.
Yeah,
You had teams in WWE that were like, hey, you had a lot of teams. There were a lot of teams. Leo, what's good with you, brother?
What's up, Leo?
So you had a lot of guys, but never really did you see uh and for me, I didn't understand it that much when one guy in the tag team was just like that standout. And
Yeah,
when you think of guys that were standouts in tag teams, when they're known for tag teams, and but you see that there's something much more in them. Shawn
right.
Michaels and Bret Hart were those kind of guys. That's what I liked about the Rockers. Like I liked it, Mario Jannetty, but it was Shawn Michaels that had my eye.
Yeah,
I liked it, the
absolutely.
Hart Foundation, and don't get me wrong, Jim the Anvil Neidhart was, that was my guy, but it was Bret Hart. It was the excellence of execution. It was the best there is, the best there
Yes,
was,
it
the
was.
best that
Yeah,
there ever will be. So it was like that was the dude that it was like, oh man, these two guys, man, I love these two guys. And then when you got to see Bret Hart go away or break from the tag team division, and then he started
hmm
challenging Mr. Perfect, one of my
yeah,
other all-time favorites for the Intercontinental Championship, and you got to see that that transition of him going from that tag team guy to that
yeah,
single star that can handle himself in the ring. He needed work with his promos, but Brett was always kind of a straight. It was just a straight shooter.
yeah.
It was you got it as bland as it was, but he delivered it, and
Right,
he
right, right.
delivered it only in the way that he could. With Shawn Michaels, you saw that he started seeing and started smelling himself. You saw that, yeah, I see that. You know what? um, I'm what carries this team, which
Yeah,
and that arrogance, which led to the infamous the beefcake segment where he
yeah,
basically super kicked Mario Jannetty and then threw him through the glass, and then decided he's going to take that next step to himself to stardom and being a single star, which
yeah,
we saw him work in the ring and have those matches with guys, Mr. Perfect, Razor Ramon, and all these other guys, and he started building himself up as a single star. So to see them kind of both come up, but never really and only so often would they have one-on-one matches.
right.
So it wasn't like they fought each other a lot, but when they did, you saw something in that match, and you also saw the difference in who each person is. Yes,
Yeah,
when you want to have someone that is a technician inside the ring, you look at a Bret Hart. You look at
hmm
that guy that's going to break you down. He's going to put you in these holes. He's going to wear you out. He's going to stump on your foot. He's going to kick you in the knee. He's going to bend
right.
your arm back. He's going to put you in all these holes. And he's going to make you tap out. He's the excellence of execution.
Yeah,
Yeah. So then, of course, when you look at, well, I need a guy that's able to work in the ring. I need a guy that's able to, do all the other things that come with this business. And then that's when you look at a guy like Shawn Michaels. May not have been the greatest technician, but the guy knew how to work in the ring. He knew he was
yeah,
athletic. He just knew how to look. He made anyone he looked in the ring with look good while looking good himself. Sometimes he would
right,
look better than the star player in the match, but that's
right.
just the kind of worker that he was. He was a in ring work. The guy could pretty much do no wrong. He knew where to be, when to be, and you can always count on him. So to see that, that journey for them both
Yeah,
lead into this singles role, which we'll eventually get to. We get to these two going at it. But we see that transition of Shawn Michaels being that heartthrob, that bad boy, that
yeah,
that that, and we've all seen them. We had a ravishing Rick Rude. We knew
yeah.
who he was. We had a Ric Flair. So it was nothing new of seeing this type of character.
Right.
But he was his own way. He was his own character. He found his niche to find a way to do what he was doing. And Bret Hart again was being that that good guy, that Boy Scout. He was doing everything by the book and did it right, and you did it with respect. But for me, it was just awesome to see them go through that journey, see them both elevate, and Vince needed them. Vince
Yeah,
needed those two guys, man, because wrestling for WWE was kind of going downhill. Like the whole cartoon kind of character gimmick of Hulk Hogan and a lot of other these guys, that was kind of fading out with wrestling, and it was becoming more of an attitude, more of a kind of a personal real thing. Real
yeah.
life would kind of take over. Hint, hint towards the NWO when they left
hmm
WWE and then they hint over to WCW. You
Right.
had that transition to where you needed something to spark an interest in wrestling again because it kind of faded out. and
Yeah.
that was a spark in wrestling. The problem for WWE was, while it was a spark for WCW, it
Yeah.
was dwindling for WWE, and the only
Right.
thing they really had outside of maybe the Undertaker or maybe a couple other people was Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. So for
Yeah.
them to finally pull the trigger and to build on these two guys coming together, having this momentum, this monumental match that they're
Right.
going to
Right.
have at WrestleMania, is one of the greatest matches ever. Still, to me, greatest matches ever from start to finish. It puts a perspective on the things that they really had going on behind the scenes. And that's
Right.
something that I learned more. Not to say I didn't know some of that stuff. I knew a lot of that stuff, but
Right.
you
Right.
got to learn a little bit of extra things when we saw the show.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, with me, I never forget. One of the first DVDs I got that I can remember. I remember. I think going at the time it was maybe FYE, I believe. At the mall.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Way back.
Talk about
FYE,
how old you are, sir.
bruh, bruh, bruh.
Shit.
FYE. And then, even before that, I remember, renting from Blockbuster. Even before that,
Okay,
when
now you talking my language.
you know what I'm saying? But the reason I say FYE is because FYE was the first time that I got a DVD and I didn't rent it and give it back. I rent it and I kept it. But it was the
He said
history
I
of the
rent
ladder
it and
match.
kept it.
And of course, it was Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon.
Right.
And that's really where I fell in love with Shawn Michaels because I mean, I kind of got more to Shawn Michaels late '90s, early 2000s. Mid 2000s, he was on his way out the door. And he
Right.
had, I
Right.
think, that year or two off from the plane crash, the back injury, whatever like that. He had a few years off. Then before that, he left because he lost his smile and things like that. So it was kind of like Sean was like in and out with me. Then he came back and had his little run, his little resurgence of DX or Triple H for a little bit, and that was kind of that. And
Yeah.
so then him and Taker and everything like that. So it was kind of a weird time for me as a Shawn Michaels fan. But as far as Bret Hart, being a student of this wrestling game, you can't talk about great technicians. You can't talk about great wrestlers. You can't talk about a great promo. You can't talk about one of the greatest small men to do it and not mention Bret Hart. And Bret Hart, he's one of those guys. I mean, not only does he come from a legendary lineage himself, but Bret Hart was one of those guys who was everything he said he was. He was indeed the excellence of
Hmm.
execution. Bret Hart, along with Shawn Michaels, those are two guys where it's like, very rarely will you see somebody and be like, you know what? I have to watch every match this person is in. When this person is on the screen, win, lose, or draw, I'm enticed to this match. And it's because of the reputation he's built up. And not only him, you got Owen, and then you got the other Hearts as well. And then now you got Natalia and everybody like that. The Tyson Kidd, an honorary Hart member, through marriage and all that. That's cool. But it's when you look at it, man, he did everything with such realism. I guess is the word I want to say. And even though we knew it
Hmm.
was sports entertainment, like you said, man, Bret Hart, he just brought a different intensity. He was gonna stretch you from Sunday to Monday. You knew that. You knew when it came to gassing you, bro, he was gonna push you to the limit. Bret Hart wasn't no joke, bro. Bret Hart, he
Hmm.
was gonna run you. Him and Owen, they was gonna make you sweat, bro. You was gonna get blown up in that ring if you got in there with either one of them. And at the same time, even though Bret Hart was a smaller guy in stature, man, his swag, his persona, man, it greater exceeded, his actual physical height. And I believe, man, that helped him a lot. And then, of course, again, going back to Shawn Michaels, you can't forget about Shawn Michaels, Mr. WrestleMania himself, HB Shizzle, the showstopper. I mean, everything he did in the ring was so flawless. And Shawn, he had a very weird move set because I wouldn't really call him a high flyer, but I wouldn't really call him a technician, but then I wouldn't really call him a grappler. He was just
He
he
was
was a little bit,
athletic. He was.
yeah,
He was. He was. He was. He was a. He was a. He's what he is on
yeah,
2K, a
yeah,
specialist.
yeah,
Okay, that's what Shawn Michaels was. He was a
yeah,
specialist. He was a guy that can go out there
yeah,
and have a match with anybody.
yeah,
Whatever, whoever it was, whatever type of match, he can go out there and he can do it, and
right,
he can deliver when he needed to. That's
yeah,
what. That's what Shawn Michaels brought to the table, man. So and with all of what you said, when you culminate that to WrestleMania, don't quote me on the WrestleMania this was on.
Right, right, right.
Even though we just talked about it, but when they got ready for this Iron Man match, and
Yeah,
and it's like everything that you said, you're looking at a guy that can go in the ring toe to toe with anybody
hmm,
and outlast them
yeah,
with his athleticism and and just what and his workmanship because the guy knew how to work in the ring. And I'm talking about
yeah,
Shawn Michaels. And then you got this other guy who's the technician. He's the respect. He's the guy who respects the business. And all this other stuff. And this is two different styles. But you can also understand because of those two different styles, because of those two different personalities, why they clashed the way they did. Because again, I could see where Shawn Michaels would rub a Bret Hart the wrong way, and he would rub him the wrong way because he was doing things in an arrogant, kind of disrespectful way. But Shawn
right.
Michaels was a young single guy, living on the top of the world. I mean, this dude had become a tag team guy. He came into business. He
Yeah,
paid his dues. He gets an opportunity and he runs with it. And he became, a must see entertainer wrestler. I'm sorry, he
yeah,
became a must see guy that you wanted to see. And Bret Hart was that guy that he was doing everything that he was doing. And
right.
even though he had the respect, he had the popularity, but people weren't gawking over him like they were doing Shawn
Shawn
Michaels.
Michaels, yeah,
And that was kind of and I think that was kind of a jealousy thing because it
of
was like,
course.
I'm doing all of this. Why am I not getting that notoriety? But I got the respect of what I've done. I got the respect of because you know who I am and what I bring to the table. But I'm not doing things in this not wholesome way. And
Hmm.
I should be getting this praise and love. You shouldn't be praising this degenerate, as he
Yeah,
quoted as saying. So you can see the differences in them, but even though with them having those differences personally, and you
hmm,
saw how that affected them backstage,
right.
when you get and one thing that I don't want to talk about too,
Yeah,
when you get to WrestleMania and you watch this match and you see how these two styles countered each other, you saw
right.
how these two guys. And that was a thing to worry, and I love that they talked about that. They talked about how we hadn't seen this. We hadn't seen anyone produce
Yeah,
a live 1 hour match with two people for an hour. How do you
yeah,
keep people entertained for an hour? Dude, they kept you entertained for an hour. Like I was entertained. I sat there. Mind you, at this point in time, I'm like at least 12, 13, 14. I've been somewhere 12 to 14 years old.
right,
Or no, I'm sorry, 11 to 13 years old. I'm living between somewhere 11 to 13 years old when I'm seeing this. And again, man, it's
right.
I don't know. I don't remember how old I was when I watched this match, but all I remember is I sat there, I watched it from the beginning to the end,
Yeah,
even the first end, not even the actual pinfall when it was the full hour, and these guys was just countering each other. Brett was working on Shawn, and just when he thought he had a bam, Shawn had a counter for him, and then
right, right.
Shawn would go on the run, and then they were going to the outside, and then and there was never no DQ, there was never no nothing, there was no pinfall. Neither guy gave in to the other. So you
Yeah,
built that legitimacy. They basically gave you a class
yeah,
on Wrestling 101. How you build a match, how you tell a story, how do you still make both guys look credible, and yet how do you deliver that climactic ending to what you need that match to be. And everything you need to know about the business, even till
right.
today, is in that match. The charisma of Shawn Michaels, the professionalism and the technician and the readiness of Bret Hart, and just what they brought to that table. Man, I don't think you can really do any better
Right.
than that. I mean, you can add a match here or there or say this person or that person, but
Yeah.
if you want to sit someone down and say you want to know how to you want to understand this business, you want to
Right.
get involved, you want to learn, he says, man, watch this match,
Yeah.
watch this match, watch everything they do, and watch how the people gravitate to it and see why folks say it is what it is. And
Right, right, right.
but the one thing I want to mention before I get back to you,
Yeah,
uh, after Shawn Michaels, picked up the victory, man, I did not know he told Bret Hart, get the hell out my tell that dude get the fuck out my ring.
yeah,
I mean, and I mean say it like that, but it's like, bruh, it's like, yo, like, damn, you was that, like, I didn't
yeah,
realize Sean was
yeah,
that much of an asshole.
yeah,
Like, I knew he was an ass, but man, I didn't realize he was that much of an ass. Like, bro, this dude is, Bret Hart's about respect, and he
yeah,
had no problem with passing the reins to you or any of those things. And I can understand Bret Hart's frustration on that part. It's like, but because Sean's the young brash, you know,
yeah,
kid who just being arrogant. But Bret Hart just, yo man, hey man, he just put you on. The man just put you on. You're the guy everybody wanted to win the championship.
yeah.
And Bret Hart's the guy that everyone just respects because we know he's that good to hold the championship. We know
Right,
Bret Hart. If Bret Hart ain't got the world championship, what's wrong with what's going on here? There was
right.
really nobody. It's like, man, we need that new guy. Shawn Michaels was that new guy, and he put that guy over, man. And that level of disrespect, I could understand why Bret Hart took it to heart because it's like, bro, that's not how you do things, man. And yeah, and what went on after that, man, whew, man, yeah,
Leo,
that just added to it.
Leo got a question for the Geo Dubsky. He says, "Who is your guy? Brett or Sean?" Me, I was more of a Sean guy, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Me, man, Sean was just so over the top, and they say professional wrestling is just an extension of your real self. So when I look at a guy, and I see a little bit of myself in Brett too. But when I see Sean, man, Sean, he just got that confidence. He got that air about him. He is a guy that could be the sweetest guy in the world, or he could be the biggest asshole you ever met. And that duality, I feel like resonates a lot with me because I mean, me personally, I feel like I kind of share those same characteristics to a degree. I can be very mild and tame or whatever like that, or it can go the other way. Now with Brett, same thing. Brett ain't really for the BS. Brett is very cutting like right down the middle. And I feel like at times I resonate with that a lot too. But Shawn Michaels is the classic case of the bad guy gets the girl. And that's really what it comes down to. Shawn Michaels did things in such a way, even when you knew it was wrong, you didn't care because it felt right. Shawn Michaels made being an asshole cool. Shawn Michaels is the only guy that I know that can come out in chaps at that time and long dangled earrings, and nobody gonna try you. All the women want to be with you, all the men want to be you. And Shawn Michaels was that guy. Like you say, nobody was clamoring to be like Bret Hart when Shawn Michaels came along. Bret,
Mm.
he had the respect, but when it came down to it, you seen Shawn dripping in the gold. You seen Shawn with all the money. You seen Shawn with all the guys in the back surrounded. Shawn Michaels came out with the big over elaborate entrances and everything like that. Had the women draped on him, looking like baby Ric Flair. Woo! You know what I'm saying? So it was just kind of like, Shawn Michaels, you talk about living a gimmick. Undertaker lived the gimmick. Ric Flair lived the gimmick. Shawn Michaels, for better or worse, lived the gimmick. And the thing is, Shawn Michaels made you believe you can attain things that you knew damn well in hell you ain't have a chance, a chance of getting. But
Right.
he did it. So you know what? I think I'm cute. I know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, hey, even Kurt Angle was a sexy Kurt at one time, you know? you know?
Man, everybody wanted to be a sexy boy.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Sexy
oh,
boy.
all right. I'm making it
I'm not your boy, toy. Toy,
quick.
toy. Yeah. But for me, and see, if for you it was Shawn Michaels, for me
Yeah,
it was Bret Hart. It was the best there is, the best there was,
best it
the
was,
best
the
there
best
ever
it ever
will be.
will. Yeah,
You just didn't. I mean, like, bruh, what? He wasn't wrong. He
yeah,
wasn't lying. He
yeah,
wasn't. I mean, bruh, he told no lies when he said this.
yeah,
The
yeah,
man, he told no lies. And the thing about it is, there were moments where you could see Bret Hart being vicious. Bret
yeah,
Hart will have a mean streak side, but it always prevailed in the end, especially when you put him in that sharpshooter. It's over.
yeah,
You tapping out, bruh. Go ahead and tap out because Bret Hart's gonna give it to you. He ain't gonna quit, man. He's got that dog in him. where you gonna have to
Dog
you
him.
gonna have to you gonna have to kill him. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to kill him.
Yeah.
But mine is a two-parter because for
Mm.
me, Shawn Michaels returning in
Yeah.
2002 and forward, that second Shawn Michaels' second half of his career. Oh,
Okay.
of course. For me, Shawn, like I like Shawn was that dude, but I
Yeah.
was more of a Brett guy. And don't get me wrong, I kind of wanted Brett to win when WrestleMania started, but by the end of it, I was actually okay with Shawn Michaels winning because
Yes, sir.
Shawn Michaels was that next guy. It's like if anybody's
Yeah.
gonna beat Brett to be the champion, it's Shawn Michaels. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it. But the second half of his career, Shawn Michaels, man,
Mm.
just him coming back and performing the way he did, and just he man, I wish he would have actually won a couple of more
Mhm.
championships. I was cool that he came back and won the World Heavyweight Championship. That was
Yeah.
fine. I didn't have a problem with that. I was okay with that because he had got back and it had been a minute and he won the World Champion title, and, and it was awesome. But I do wish that he had won at least one more just
Yeah.
to help, even if it was for him winning it just long enough to build someone else up,
Right. Right.
a
Right.
Randy Orton or Edge or somebody like that. Like I wouldn't have minded that if one of them had beaten Shawn Michaels for the World Heavyweight Championship instead of Triple H. I think that would have helped somebody's career, a little further down the line. That could have been an epic match. But Shawn Michaels' second half of his career, that was my guy. Of course, because Brett obviously couldn't have a second half of his career. But yeah, Shawn definitely the second half.
No, absolutely, absolutely. All right, man. So we got a little bit more time, man. To wrap what the people do. Okay. When you
We got to
look
get
at
this.
it,
We know you. I must say, we got to talk about the. We know we got to talk about the screwdriver. We can't even finish this thing out without getting to that. So we
yeah.
got a minute.
So that's the thing I want to talk to you about as far as what I'm saying, the Montreal screw job, dude. So one of the most infamous moments in wrestling history. Brett screwed Brett. The
Hmm.
fans didn't know what to think for going back then to even now. It still remains one of the biggest conspiracy theories that Brett knew what was going to happen. It was all planned. You really don't know what to make of it. At least I don't, because as many times as we've seen the clip being replayed over and over, you got Brett spitting outside the ring, spitting on Vince, and you got Shawn
Mm-mm.
Michaels getting rushed to the back, and then you hear of all the
Mm-mm.
the, the stories in the back, dude, man.
Bro, let me tell you something.
Yeah,
Okay, as somebody who watched it,
yeah,
okay, who saw it, man, it was unreal.
yeah,
One, because like Kevin Owens and them said,
yeah,
this was the first time I found out Vince McMahon was the owner. Like
yeah, yeah.
why is the
Beginning of Mr.
commentator,
McMahon.
why is he why is Vince talking to Brett while they're fighting? What is
Right,
going
right.
on? What is this? What is this? What
Yeah,
is what is this? Is this part of the show? What is going on?
right,
What is happening? Okay, that's one thing. Everything that led up to that moment, from
right.
that WrestleMania, where Shawn Michaels told Bret Hart to get his ass out my ring. Well, I'm sorry, he told Hugh Hefner to tell Bret Hart get his ass out my ring. From that moment,
Yeah,
it was just that disdain for each other, and
yeah,
it continued because Shawn Michaels had now won. He was the fan favorite. He was the champion, but he was still being the arrogant asshole that he was. Bret
right.
Hart, being the respectable veteran coming from that old school mentality, he was not accepting this, and he was having huge problems with it. But
Yeah,
yet they were remaining professional enough in the ring, sort of, until Bret. But and that's where I can also see the dis the dislike for Shawn, because
right.
Shawn had the gift of gab. And they're right about that. Shawn had the gift of gab. Bret wasn't a back and forth kind of guy. Bret
Yeah,
was just kind of, I'm going to beat you. I'm better than you. I'm the best there is. I'm the best there was. I'm the best there ever will be. And that's pretty much Bret's thing. Okay, true enough, that is. But Shawn Michaels could talk that talk. And when you got a guy that can talk that talk against somebody that can't talk that talk, we've seen it happen. How many times you've been at the schoolyard and you got that one dude that's just ragging on that other dude, and that other dude just sitting there taking it because he can't come up
yeah,
with nothing to talk about. He
yeah,
can't come up with nothing to say. He just getting dogged. He just get mad. He eating that in. He frustrated. Now he want to fight.
Yeah.
That's Bret Hart. That's who Bret Hart was, and Shawn Michaels was that dude that was talking about that dude and embarrassing him, and everybody laughing at him. That's who Shawn Michaels was. And by the time you get to where now Bret Hart's contract is up,
Mm-hmm.
Vince ain't paying them what WCW trying to pay him because they guaranteeing money over there. Hey, Ted Turner cashing out. Hey, Ted Turner offering blank checks. Write your
Yeah.
name on one. That's basically what was going on. Ted Turner said, "Here you go. Put your name on it. Write what you want. I'll see you Monday."
Right.
That was it. Bret Hart gave Vince McMahon the opportunity. Vince didn't want to do it. Vince didn't want to do it. One of your most trusted, which is kind of a issue in wrestling because when you have a guy like Bret Hart that has done the things he's done to help build the company the way he's built it, even if WWE was kind of going through a thing, you kind of felt like, damn, Vince, you couldn't have done something. You couldn't have negotiated. Was it that easy to just say, hey, you better go take that money? Like,
Yeah.
and I can kind of see, but at the same time, Bret was about doing the right thing. It wasn't like Bret Hart, and they never said Bret Hart was about trying to leave with the championship. Bret made it very clear, hey man, I'm trying to do the right thing.
He just didn't want to lose in his hometown.
Well, it wasn't that. It was what Shawn Michaels and them said, which I didn't know, was that Shawn Michaels said, Bret Hart says, man, look, I know we have our back and forth, but I have, respect you enough that I would drop this title to you at the, moving, and I'm moving forward. Like, it's no thing to me to drop it to you. And with Shawn Michaels simply saying, bro, I respect you for saying that, but I wouldn't do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
That was the issue. That was what the final straw. It's like, you disrespectful little son of a bitch. It's like, bro, really? Like, I don't want to drop the title to you. So for Shawn Michaels to say that,
Yeah.
okay, and of course, by this time, you got Medusa who then showed up on WCW to drop the
Yep.
women's championship in
Right
the
in the
garbage
trash
can.
can. Yeah.
So that's playing in the psyche of Vince. I can't
Right.
have
Right.
Bret Hart. I can't have the excellence of execution leaving my company and
Yep.
going over to this other company with my
Mm-hmm.
tablet.
Yeah.
If he do that, that's the end of WCW. I don't
Yeah.
think there is. I mean WWE. There is no Monday Night War. It's over. It's a wrap. You can forget it because
Right.
now it's
Right.
like, bruh, y'all done let your main women's and your men's championship on
Yeah.
this other show,
Yeah.
bruh. Like, get
Yeah.
out of here. It might have. Hey, WWE might be in TNA territory. All right,
Right.
you hear
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying? It might have been that bad for him, but Vince is a fighter. He might
Yeah.
have pumped away still, but he still couldn't take that chance. So
Yeah.
to see all of that happening, to understand now the reason why, and the more of the reason why everything went down the way it was, why Bret was so against just dropping the title to Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels was disrespectful. Shawn Michaels didn't show respect. He kind of showed respect, but it was like a vague respect. It was like
Yeah.
it was like, I like you, but with all due respect, you kind of a jerk. It's like,
Right.
you know what, it was kind of that. So it was like, bro, I can't rock with you because Bret Hart was an old school kind of guy.
Yeah.
So to see all that culminate into the match, and it was a great match. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Fire match. Oh,
Yeah.
how can they top WrestleMania? This was how they top WrestleMania. But we got the finish we got. And then of course, man, but again, like you said, Bret Hart trying to get through the locker room to find out what's going on. Shawn Michaels lying. I had gave Shawn Michaels the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I had gave him the benefit of the doubt that he knew something was going to happen, but he didn't know how it was going to happen,
Yeah.
or that he knew that he was winning, but he didn't know how he was going to win. Why
Right.
he showed that he was upset, but to come to find out, nah, he was with it. He knew it the whole time. I kind of changed my perspective where I felt more bad for Bret now
Yeah.
because it's like, bruh, you were the disrespectful asshole. He didn't care to drop it to you. I told you if they had dropped it, if they had added the Undertaker to the, like if I was Vince, I would have audible and added the Undertaker to the match.
Yeah.
That way, Bret could have dropped the title to the Undertaker, and you could have built something later. But Vince wasn't thinking of it like that back then, and it is what it is, and it happened the way it happened. But it's like I kind of you know what? Vince, you deserve what you got. You got
Yeah,
spit in the face and you
yeah,
got rocked in your jaw. You deserve that, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Brett could have. No, Brett. I don't feel Brett did anything wrong. No,
yeah.
looking at all of it
No,
now,
no,
I don't
no.
feel like he did anything wrong. I think he was right to feel the way he did about Shawn being as disrespectful as he was. But I still think Brett would have dropped the title to him. That's the whole thing about it. I don't think Brett was going to walk out of there without with the championship. I think he was going to
Right.
still drop it anyway. But Vince couldn't let it just happen naturally.
Yeah.
He had to make sure, and we got what we got.
No, no, no. Absolutely, absolutely. Bro, look, man, we about 35 minutes in talking about two of the
Man,
greatest to ever do it on episode
man,
one of our WWE
man,
Rivals recap. Again, we talking about two of
man,
the greatest. We talking about the Hitman, the excellence of execution versus the Heartbreak Kid, the showstopper,
man.
Mr. WrestleMania, HB Shizzle, Shawn Michaels himself. Bro, this is one of many as now we have officially kicked off our WWE Rival Series. We've been talking
For
about doing this
sure.
for a while. You know, life kind of
Yeah.
got in the way on top of our regular schedule programming. Then we had other stuff to do at the 9 to 5. Now it
Right.
looks like we're gonna have a little bit of extra time on our hands for the time being. So we're gonna be able to pump out some more of these things to the people. Bro, before we get out of here, man, any
Rest in
final
peace,
thoughts you
Cavaliers.
gotta say to the people, man?
Uh, I'm glad that they were able to bury the hatchet.
Yeah,
As far as them showing up on the show raw and burying things, I do feel like they said something else on the show that really resonated with me. Uh, it's funny how both of their injuries kind of happened around the same time,
yeah,
and it both kind of took them both out of the game. Man, but I can only imagine that if they were able to have healthy careers,
yeah.
how many more matches could we've gotten out of Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels?
Absolutely.
Like, it's like,
Absolutely.
man, like, dude, oh, like, are you kidding me? Like, the history, like the history there is just you can't write a better script for the beef that they had or how they felt. But
Right.
even if everything still happened the way it did, if they were both still healthy enough to be able to put on solid matches,
Mm-hmm.
the just what we could have gotten out of that, man. So I definitely wish I could have gotten that, but I'm glad to see that they were able to, kind of put things to the side, and WWE honor Brett the way they need to, because they need to, because when you decided Hulk Hogan wasn't a thing anymore, you needed someone to step up, and Bret Hart at that time was that guy that stepped up, and he
Right.
was that dude. It wasn't just on him; you still needed to provide other things for it,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
and it is what it is, but. Bro, like you said, I'm glad we got to do this finally. But don't worry, we might just do another one soon. I don't know. We'll have to talk with the bro. But tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here, uh, Rampage comes on kind of early. Not 100% sure if we're gonna do a Rampage. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and just say we're not doing a Rampage tomorrow. But because tomorrow is day one of the draft, your boys, we are going to have a Friday night block party from the start of the show of SmackDown. That's right, man. Your boys are going to be live for the
Yes,
first
sir.
two, well, for the whole show, really. It ain't no first 2 hours, it's only two
Right.
hours.
Right. Right.
But we're going to be live for the whole show of SmackDown, man. So we're going to, we're going to show the draft. We're going to see where Roman Reigns is going to be staying. We're going to see which show is going to get a brand new championship.
Yes,
We're going
sir.
to see what the new rivalries are set up, and we're just gonna see the new season of WWE, basically, man. So we'll be live and direct, man. Like I said, for 2 hours. So make sure BYO. Bring your own.
Yes,
Show
sir.
up and just bring your own and
Bring it
come
on.
kick it with your boys. And yeah, man, Friday night block party, man, live 2 hours, the whole show.
Hey yo, I'm gonna hit my Tony. Yeah, yo. I'm gonna hit my Tony. Yeah, yo. Ah, yeah, yeah,
Can't see
yeah,
him. You can't
yeah.
see him. Where'd he go?
Hey,
Where
hey,
franchise
hey,
go? I
hey.
can't
Oh,
see him.
there
Where
we go.
did he go? I
Oh,
can't see him. I can't
there we
see him.
go. What that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna be a funny ass clip. Ah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of GOW, the Generation Wrestling Podcast. As always, as you are truly the 29-year-old piece of gold, and as always, you're a king too cold, and we'll see y'all when we see you. Peace.